All right, let's talk about that moment. You open your Amazon S3 bill and it feels like you're trying to decode some cryptic message, right? Well, you're definitely not alone. So today we're going to put on our detective hats and crack the case of your S3 bill once and for all. Let's start gathering some clues. So here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into the mystery itself. Then we'll meet our toolkit, the S3 storage classes. After that, we're going to follow the money trail using reports and tags, figure out how to put our savings on autopilot, and finally wrap it all up with a simple cost-saving playbook you can use right away.
Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the S3 cost mystery. We're going to uncover those hidden charges that have a knack for showing up on your bill when you least expect it.
So, does this whole thing feel familiar? You think you've budgeted perfectly for storage, but that final bill, it's just a total mystery. It's a super common case, but trust me, the clues are all there. And as you're about to see, understanding things like life cycle rules and automation, well, that's the key to solving it.
And here's our first major clue, maybe the biggest one of all. Your S3 bill is about so much more than just storage space. I mean, yeah, you pay for the gigabytes, but you're also paying for requests, every get, put, and post to your data. You're paying for data retrievals from certain tiers, and believe it or not, you can even get charged for deleting objects too early. All these operational costs, plus data transfer and monitoring fees, these are the quote-unquote hidden charges that can really inflate your bill. Okay, so now that we know what we're actually being charged for, we need the right tools to get those costs under control. And that brings us to our essential toolkit, the Amazon S3 storage classes. Honestly, you can think of these as different forensic tools for different kinds of data.
The whole idea here is actually pretty simple. You just have to match your data to the right tool. You know, if you've got hot data that you're accessing all the time, it belongs in a fast, responsive tier. But if you have cold or archival data you barely ever touch, well, that's way better suited for a cheaper, long-term storage class. Using the wrong one is a classic mistake, and that's where the costs just start to spiral. So this table here gives you a good look at the range of tools we have. On one end of the spectrum, you've got S3 Standard. That's your go-to, your workhorse for frequently accessed data that needs millisecond response times. On the complete opposite end, you have S3 Glacier Deep Archive, which gives you the absolute lowest storage cost for data you might not look at for years. And then right in the middle, you have something really cool called S3 Intelligent Tiering, which basically automates this whole process for you. Pretty neat. And this brings up a classic trade-off you'll see a lot, resilience versus cost. See, for really important data, you can store it across multiple physical locations, multiple availability zones for super high durability. That's what you see on the left. But for less critical data, maybe stuff you can easily reproduce, you can choose to store it in just a single location. It's cheaper, for sure, but you're taking on a bit of risk. If that one location fails, well, the data is gone. All right, we've got our tools. Now it's time to actually start gathering clues. We're going to follow the money trail, and we'll do it with the help of some really powerful reporting and tagging features. Okay, first up, cost allocation tags. The best way to think about these is like a label on an evidence bag at a crime scene. By tagging your S3 buckets with something like Project Trinity, you can track exactly which projects, which teams, or which applications are responsible for which costs. This is absolutely critical for organizing your investigation and figuring out where the money is going. And these are your forensic files. AWS billing reports give you that 30,000-foot view, the high-level summary of charges across your entire account. But when you really need to get in the weeds and get granular, AWS usage reports are your best friend. They break down S3 activity in incredible detail, so you can pinpoint exactly which operations are driving up your bill. Look, manually managing all these costs is tough. And honestly, it's kind of a waste of your time. That's why we're bringing in some smart partners, automation tools, to handle the savings for you, so you can focus on the bigger picture. S3 lifecycle rules are like setting up standing orders for your data. You basically set up a policy once, and it automatically moves objects over time. So for example, an object can start out in S3 Standard on day 0. Then after 30 days, boom, it automatically transitions to a cheaper infrequent access tier. After 90 days, it moves again, and maybe after 180 days, it ends up in deep archive storage. All of this happens without you having to lift a finger. And that brings us to the real star of the automation show, S3 Intelligent Tiering. This is for all that data where you have no idea how often it's going to be accessed. It's unpredictable. Intelligent tiering is your ultimate smart partner here, because it literally watches how each individual object is accessed and moves it between tiers automatically to save you money. It's a game changer.
So here's how it works. It's super straightforward. An object starts its life in the frequent access tier. Now, if nobody touches it for 30 consecutive days, S3 just automatically moves it to the cheaper infrequent access tier. If another 60 days go by with no access, it moves again to an even cheaper archive tier. And the best part? If someone suddenly needs that data, it's immediately moved right back to the top tier. It is simple, powerful, and totally hands-off automation.
Okay, we have gathered the clues, we've reviewed the tools, and we've learned how to put the whole process on autopilot. So now let's bring it all together in our final section, your cost-saving playbook. And this brings us to the final playbook. It's a simple 4-step process. Ready? First, analyze your bill. You have to understand every single charge, not just the storage. Second, tag everything. Use those cost allocation tags to trace every dollar back to its source. Third, choose wisely. Pick the right storage class for each type of data. And finally, number 4, automate. Use S3 lifecycle rules and intelligent tiering to do the heavy lifting for you. This is it. This is your repeatable strategy for cracking any S3 cost case that comes your way. And with that, our investigation comes to a close. The clues are all there, the tools are in your hands, and now the playbook is written. So the only question left is this: what hidden savings are waiting to be discovered in your S3 buckets? Case closed.